Endurance Junkie Podcast, episode 96. Hey Junkies, what's up? Thanks for joining me on a new episode of the Endurance Junkie Podcast, the show where I will be interviewing some of the fastest, smartest, and most inspiring people active in the endurance world today. Now, if you like these little interviews and don't want to miss any future ones, just head over to iTunes or Stitcher and simply subscribe to the show. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you who has left a rating and a review there. It's much appreciated. And yeah, if you haven't done so, please consider leaving me one and help grow the show. Right on today we have Kristian Blummenfelt, and Kristian is a Norwegian triathlete who is currently ranked number 3 in the World Triathlon Series. Kristian made history in his country of Norway to become the first athlete to compete in triathlon at the Olympic Games. And at only 23 years of age, he has already won 2 World Cup races and has become a bit of a regular on the podium with a couple of second and third place finishes as well. Now last year, Kristian also won the Super League triathlon event in Jersey in a pretty dominating style, and he also won his debut race at the 17.3 distance by outrunning Terenzo Bozzoni in Bahrain. So hi Kristian, thanks for coming on the show. Now for those of us who don't know you, can you start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your sporting background growing up in Norway and how you ended up in triathlon?
I used to be a swimmer when I was younger. So I combined swimming and football playing. And then, when you're younger, you used to have like a massive improvement. Like when you're 8, 9, 10, you used to improve a lot from weekend to weekend. And then I did as well. But then suddenly when I was like 11, I stopped improve, and I was like actually getting slower, and I was struggling with improving for like 2 years in the pool. So that set me back like in the swimming for a long time, and I was like training harder and harder and more just to get the same progress as everyone else in the club. And so after 2 years without improving, my level wasn't really that high. And then at the same time, I was like running really well. So as a swimmer, I was running better than I was swimming. So then when my swim coach told me to maybe give triathlon or open water swimming or try something different to get out my potential. And then he gave me a list of different events he thought I could maybe fit in for me. And then one of them were a local triathlon. So I did that one in 2008. Mm-hmm. And then a few months later, a guy in the federation, he wanted to start up a new national team with young athletes around his own son's age. So luckily there, I was like picked up, and I was one of 4 guys who were like willing to be a part of the youth national team. And since then, we have been building it up with going from youth to juniors, and now we have like a senior national team.
Yeah. Okay. Can you talk a bit about the triathlon scene in Norway? Because we all see it as a winter sport country. I mean, you guys have a lot of cross-country skiers and ski jumpers and speed skaters. What's triathlon like? Are there a lot of races?
Yeah, and it's growing a lot. So it's getting more and more athletes racing each event, and also there's more and more events around in the country. So the sport in general is growing.
Okay, is that due to people like you that actually make it to the elite level that help make the sport more known in a country like Norway?
I think it's different reasons. Like it started to grow like before I started as well. Mm-hmm. And in the world, the sport is growing, I think, as well. So it's just a part of triathlon is more on the map everywhere. So,
okay,
not just because of my result, but I think it would have been growing without as well.
No, okay, makes sense. Can you talk a bit then about your own progression in the sport? So you started at this national youth team, so you definitely had some talent there, some potential.
Yeah.
But then, to actually make it as a pro, that's something else. I mean, not every talented youngster actually makes it as a pro and makes it to the elite level. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. Can you take the question again?
So you started as a youngster in that youth national team. But then you progressed all the way to where you are today as an elite triathlete. Not every youngster who starts out in a youth team actually makes it to the elite level. So can you talk a bit about those years from when you started out up till when you started first racing at the ITU circuit? Yeah,
I think the background from being a swimmer and used to work really hard for getting the improvement and progression. I learned that I really have to work hard and train much to get the progress that I'm looking for. So I think when I started as a junior, I was one of the juniors who had the biggest volume in the training. So I think you very often see athletes having maybe some fast running split for 3K or quick time in the pool, but they're not really able to put it together because they haven't used to have the volume in the training from a young age. So I think that has been a big advantage for me to take the step from junior to senior level, because I've been kind of been prepared to take the transition from a young age.
Yeah. So have you been working with the same coach since the beginning?
In the beginning, I didn't have any coach.
Okay.
I was like trying to mix in some running with some cycling and just follow the swim program. But then in 2010, the winter between 2010 and 2011, I started to work with my current coach, Untitled. So he started to put it in more structure and more triathlon specific training, not just a swimmer who were running, but more like swim, bike, and running. And I really only got good or massive improvement on the run, just already from the first year. And since then, it has actually been like stepping year by year, and it's been working well.
No, okay. So when did you decide, okay, this is my thing, and I want to make my career out of this? I want to make my money from racing.
I think when we started with the youth national team, we had like a big vision, and we were thinking about the Olympics in the future, and we really believed that we could make it to the very top from a young age if we just worked hard for it.
So you were already pretty competitive in those junior races?
Not in the really beginning. I remember I did my first international race or championship in Athlone, the European Championship in 2010. And then I got like, wow, it was a big shock. Like the guys were running like 15 minutes for the 5K, and I was like far back. I used to be a swimmer, and I was like in the middle of the pack, even on the swim, and I made the third pack, I think, on the bike. So in the beginning, it was like a big shock. But then the next year, I felt I was way more competitive in the field, and I was like able to be up there by the best. And then that was maybe a time when I realized that, I can make it to the junior level. And then when you're close to junior level, you can also take the transition to senior level.
Yeah. So how did that go? Because you go from 1.8 sprint triathlons to actual Olympic distance, double the race distance. How did that go in the beginning?
Not that bad, actually. Well, we are used to do Olympic distance, non-drafting from the junior age, because in the beginning when we raced in Norway, there were no sprint drafting races. We had to do most of our races were non-drafting Olympic distance. So we are kind of used to the longer distance, used to to having to race 2 hours instead of coming from a speedy background with doing super fast, super sprint distance. So I think it's a little bit different ways to get started.
Yeah. Okay. I've been sort of looking at your results at the ITU level, and then I think you started racing in 2013 at the elite level, and you had some good results there, and you won some European Cups and things like that. But then it was really until 2016 when you really made that jump to the really elite, the elite level, and could compete with the Brownlees and the Richard Murrays and stuff like that. Is there something specific that you think you did or changed in your training that allowed you to make that jump all of a sudden?
Well, actually, I think it's a little bit like with timing. Like in 2013, I raced well in the European Cups and tried to focus in the junior racing because I had a junior world championship at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So we tried to prepare for the senior races by having a high volume. In the same time, we want to win the world championship, so I had to be a fast runner. And after picking up the run level, like month by month going into the summer, I picked up a strike structure. Mm-hmm. That was struggling with for 9 months. So I didn't run for 9 months from end of 2013 to middle of 2014. Mm-hmm. So that kind of set me back a little bit on the run. And also racing because I couldn't get into the World Series because of the rankings and the qualification system. So I think the only World Series races I were able to do in 2014 were the Grand Final. Yeah. And I also felt I was racing well in French Grand Prix, but I wasn't able to get it out in the World Series. Mm-hmm. So I kind of got the confidence that I were competitive against those athletes, but I was like missing the race results from the World Series. So actually, when I got the podium in 2016, I really felt like, finally I'm able to put it together in the World Series.
Yeah, okay. So it was a question of good timing, and then it also allowed you to go to the Olympics. Obviously, you came 13th there, if I'm not mistaken. So what were your expectations going into that race, and how do you feel now about that result?
I tried to forget it.
Seriously?
I was dreaming about at least getting a medal, mm-hmm. and I wanted to. I think on an ideal, perfect day, I could maybe win the race. But I think in the Olympics, it's all about the medals or nothing. And I came home with nothing. So it's like I try to forget the race and focusing on the future instead.
Okay, yeah, but I guess it is a good experience for you that will help you in the future, no doubt.
Yeah, it's good to have that experience, but at the same time, we did a kind of similar thing in the European Games the year before. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just about making it as a normal race as possible.
Yeah. Okay. So what does a typical training week look like now for you during a racing season? Like how many hours are you swimming? How many hours are you biking? How many miles are you doing on the run?
During the winter season?
No, during racing season. Like you guys race a lot, so what do you do in between?
We try to put in some good numbers of hours, because I think that it's really easy to just peak for each event and then you're losing fitness. So we try to get in at least a threshold in each discipline, like in the middle of the week or something, just to build the engine, and then also get the numbers in to at least keep the fitness high. So maybe 20, 25 with the traveling and racing. Yeah. And then we'd like to put in like a big summer block where we're maybe doing 35, 33 hours in the altitude.
Yeah, okay. Take us through your 2017 season, because I think that was pretty solid as well. You had a couple of World Series podiums. You had a very dominating win at the Super League in Jersey, and then you finished it off with a 70.3 win in Bahrain. From super short and super fast to the Olympic distance to the longer stuff, you seem to be able to handle everything very well.
Yeah, it ended up really well. I started off with a big shock in Abu Dhabi because I came off the winter training with a lot of confidence, and I thought I was really well prepared and I was better than ever before. And I felt like, maybe this is the one I can win, like in Abu Dhabi. And then I had a super good swim. I'm usually one of the stronger guys on the bike, but then I just got dropped from the first pack, second pack, and third pack. And at the end, I was almost lapped before I gave up. And that was like a big shock.
Did you figure out what it was? Was it just an off day?
It was just an off day. Like, I was not sick. There was no mechanic. I was just no power. So then I was like, it's a long way to finish on the podium overall, because that was the goal before the season. But then it started to slowly getting better with the podium in Yokohama and some good racing in Leeds and Hamburg, and especially the last part was super good, and with 3 second places in a row. And for the Jersey race, it was fun. You know, it's I felt like I wanted to have a revenge after Hamilton, so it was super fun to win that one as well. So and then we kind of had a small break. We had like 10 days of where I could choose what I wanted to do in training before we went up to Sierra Nevada and started off the winter training again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the Bahrain race in the back in our mind, and we have always been talking about putting in a 70.3 when it fits in. And then while we were watching the 70.3 World Championship on TV during the summer, we were like talking, maybe we should do one this winter. So I was looking at actually finding a one in January or February, but there were none that we thought would fit in super well. So then we just, let's go to Bahrain and see how it goes there.
Yeah.
And then we decided to go for that one, and it ended up well.
So why that decision to do a 70.3 race so early in your career? I mean, you're only 23. I guess you've got a lot of years on the ITU circuit left in front of you. Why already that? Why did you want to taste that 70.3 distance?
Again, I think we are used to do a lot of hours in the training. Mm-hmm. Like many athletes, they're coming from sprint, and then they haven't training enough endurance to do the Olympic. They're not able to go further. But we are maybe more opposite. I think I'm really well suited to do 70.3, and we do just enough speed so I can do Olympic distance.
Yeah.
So actually, Super League were more surprising for me than Bahrain, because I'm not used to do that much super fast 2K runs as the other guys do on the track.
No.
When we go to the track, it's usually 10 or 12K of hard running instead of 5-4 super fast Ks.
No.
So that I was more surprised.
No, okay. So will we see you a bit more often on the 70.3 circuit, or is that just something that you want to keep for the distant future, or fit in one here, one left here, and one there whenever it fits?
I will do it again. So we were actually thinking straight after Bahrain that we should. With maybe 2 more months, we should easily be able to cut 5 to 8 minutes of the overall time.
Wow!
So we were looking at actually Dubai, but then I got sick during the Christmas, and I was just in terrible shape. So just before the deadline of the registration, we just changed our mind, and now the next one will be in Bahrain again at the end of the year.
Okay, so the same race where you go defend your title. Okay, and in the meantime, it's all about ITU.
Yeah, the main focus will be the World Series and try to do it well in the overall standing.
So you're number 3 now, I think, at the current ranking.
Yeah.
So the goal will be that number 1 position.
Yeah, for sure. That will be the ambition. So yeah, it will be. But then again, I have to start off better than last year.
No.
So Abu Dhabi will be more important to get a good flying start.
No, okay. Well, you were already sick just before Christmas, so you already had that. So you will be.
Yeah.
You'll be fine in Abu Dhabi. No worries.
Yeah, I'll be fit.
Yeah, looking even further ahead, Tokyo 2020, is that also a main goal?
Yeah, that's what we have in our mind. So I think by putting in some 70.3s just to build engine and threshold, it's not about preparing for a longer distance. It's just for the training, because we think it's good for the training towards Tokyo to do a little bit long threshold workouts. So 2020 and then hopefully 24 and maybe 28 as well.
Right.
So it's definitely the Olympics that it's in our radar.
Okay. Ironman, is that somewhere on your radar?
Yeah, that's after the Olympics. I think it's too hard to combine Olympic distance preparation with Kona racing. So it's easy to do it with the half distance because it's so close to the Olympic distance. It's just like 3.5, hours compared to over 8 hours or just under. So I think if you go for the Ironman distance, you kind of have to choose, especially if you want to race in the middle of the season.
Okay. But that's like 10 years from now, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
It depends how it goes in Tokyo.
Yeah, if you have a goal there, you would move up, or
I don't know, but it depends, I guess.
For sure. Yeah, I got a question coming in from Twitter from Claire Longmore. I hope that pronounced that correctly. Now she wants to know what your favorite of the 3 disciplines is, and she also wants to know if you're taking part in the mixed relay event in Nottingham this year.
I would love to take part in the mixed relay, but we're missing a second girl for the team. So we have a lot of guys in our team, but we're missing the second girl. So that's a shame. So it looks fun from the outside and I would love to be a part of it. So unfortunately, I don't think I will be able to do it. But if I have to pick between swimming, biking, and running, I will guess running, because especially during the winter, it's possible to stay warm if I do it outside. Like cycling outside is freezing, usually raining, and so running, not swimming for sure.
Okay.
That's like if you have a hard day in the pool, you're just looking at the watch and you see the times on every 100 meters, and you know that it's going slow. But while you're out running, you can kind of forgetting the training part of it and just be out there and enjoying yourself.
Okay. What's the greatest piece of advice that you've ever received in the sport so far by competitors or coaches?
I think it's just about believing that it's possible. It's easy to think that all the big nations like Australia or US or Great Britain, they have a better program or better support, but to actually believe that it's possible to break through from a smaller nation if you just do the work every day.
Yeah. Okay. What would constitute? What would be a perfect day for you, training and wise, and just a perfect day? Describe that for me.
That was maybe. I like when it's a summer day in Bergen when we do like a brick session. So like 3.5 hours in total of cycling and running fast on the track, and then maybe finishing off with an hour open water swimming. That's like a sunny day in Bergen, but it's not that many of them.
Okay. Do you do like other specific things outside of just swim, bike, run? Is there some yoga involved or other things like mental training? Do you do that as well?
Not really mental training, but I think the best mental training, that's like what you do while you're training. Like what are you thinking about? And I used to maybe pretend that like I'm in the middle of the race in the training. So when I'm getting to races, I feel like I've been there before, and it's just a repetition of what I've done in training. That's maybe the most mental part I'm doing.
Okay, cool. Thanks for your time, Kristian. This has been very fun. How can people get in touch with you if they want to?
They can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Just search on my name and they will find me.
Okay, cool. I'll put those links up on the show notes pages. Feel free to give some love to your sponsors and partners.
Yeah, it's been after last year, I've been able to sign with the new brands now, and I'm super excited now to be a part of Specialized. And we also just signed, but it's not official yet, but we have a few other brands. So 2018 will be good.
Okay, I'll put definitely the link to the Specialized team on the show notes page as well, and we'll keep an eye out for the new partners. I got one final question to finish off the interview. If you could sit on a bench somewhere in a park in Bergen and chat for an hour with anyone from the past or the present, or who would it be, and what would you talk about?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. I guess with my coach, talking about training.
Yeah. Okay, and dreaming about a gold medal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
that sounds good. All right. Thanks so much for your time, Kristian. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, Junkies. Thanks for listening to this episode with Kristian Blummenfelt. Now, if you have any suggestions for possible future guests, just shoot me an email at peter@junkiepodcast.com, and I'll try to make it happen. All right, thanks again for listening, and I hope you'll join me next time when I will be chatting with triathlete Angela Nath about her recent comeback after struggling with a foot injury for about a year and a half. Cheers, guys.